Hi guys, so today's video we're going to talk about the grip. Now this isn't the first video I've done on the grip, I have done other videos, but this one again aimed at the beginner golfer or for players perhaps struggling with the concept of how to grip the golf club. Now obviously the grip of the golf club is when we take our hands and wrap them around the handle of the golf club on the part that we call the grip. So where do we start? Okay, we're going to start off with a quick explanation. We've got lead hand and trail hand. Lead hand is the hand that is closest to the target or closest to the direction in which we're hitting. So as a right-handed golfer, my left hand is my lead hand. It's the hand which is going to be working closer towards the target. Trail hand, well, naturally that's the hand that trails behind the lead hand and is on the right side of a right-handed golfer. How do we grip the golf club? Guys, there's plenty of different ways to grip the golf club. You've got interlocking, overlapping. We have a baseball style grip. Lots and lots of different ways to grip the golf club. I have my own personal way. I'm going to show you guys how I grip the golf club and I'm going to explain why I grip the golf club that way. Okay, so I have a way of gripping the golf club which some other coaches may deem as a weak grip, but I have a reason for why I grip it this way, and I promise you if you give it a go, it's going to help you hit the ball straighter. It's certainly helped me hit the ball straighter, and I say it's going to help you hit the ball straighter. How do we work on our golf grip? Really easily, guys. I want you to get an old golf glove, okay? So I've got my old Titleist glove here, it's an old practice glove. I'm gonna get you to take your glove, I'm gonna get you to put it on your hand, okay? So, how do we grip the club when we've got our glove on? Guys, I like to run the grip through the palm of the hand and up through the index finger. But how can we do that? How can I make sure that each time I'm practicing, I'm running my grip through the correct part of the glove? Really easy, guys. What I'm going to do for you is we're going to grab ourselves an old marquee pen and a glove. I'm going to take halfway between the base of my pinky finger and my wrist. I'm going to put a mark on my practice glove. And again, guys, it's a practice glove. Put a mark on there. The next mark I'm going to put up on my index finger. I'll put a line here so you can see there's a little crook in the where you bend your index finger and the base of the index finger. Okay, right in the middle of that, I'm going to put a dot. What I need to do, guys, is get the club here to join into the dot. So when I take my grip, I run my hand through those two dots. I then curl my fingers around the grip, and then when I look down at the grip from front on here, you see that I've got my thumb straight down the middle, and again I'm running through the two dots here. Now, when you guys give this a go, it's going to possibly feel a little bit weak, but my reason for doing this is when I take my normal golf grip, if I take, it's called a standard grip where the hand's a bit strong, as I take this grip I'm creating a little bit of extension in the wrist here. Now, extension is the part where the wrist itself here on the inside of the lead wrist begins to bend, in this case towards the target, and then we have flexion when the wrist here flexes. Now, I take my standard golf grip and I get a little bit of extension in the grip. Well, further on in the golf swing, we'll explain this further down the line, I'm having to make a compensation to move my wrist into a better position to allow me to hit the golf ball well and straight. However, if I take the grip the way that I'm showing you guys, where I run it through my two dots here, I almost remove that extension completely at address, which means I have less compensations to make further down the swing. I take my thumb on my lead hand, I run it straight down the line of the golf pride on the grip here. I then take my trail hand, I'm going to overlap, that's my choice of grip, that's where my pinky finger sits on top of the index finger, so my trail pinky sits on top of the lead index. I then run the grip through the fingers of my right hand, and I take my grip. So when I look down my grip, I've got my lead thumb down pointing towards the golf pride, my trail thumb is now pointing down towards the golf pride, and I have an extremely neutral grip. This also limits the amount of rotation in the club face, which further down the line when we get through to talking about impact is going to help you. So guys, real simple, couple of key points to learn how to grip the golf club and how we can practice to ensure we get the right grip each time. Grab yourself an old glove, mark a spot halfway between your pinky finger and your wrist, stick a dot on your old practice glove. Stick a dot on the index finger of your lead hand and just join the dots, guys. Through the dots will set us up in a nice solid grip. From there, we're ready to start swinging the golf club. In today's video, part 2 of the golf for beginners, we're going to be talking about stance and the importance of having the correct width in your stance. Now, if you're new to the game, this is going to be important. Guys, if you've been playing for 10, 20, 30 years, it's still as important. I have guys come to the lesson tee that have been playing a long time, and one of the first things we pick up on is how they stand to the golf ball with their feet width and how far apart they are or how narrow they are. Okay guys, rule of thumb. When we're addressing our wedges and our irons, our stance should be shoulder width apart as a bare minimum. What do I mean by this, guys? I take my golf club, I let it hang down from my shoulder, and I want to see that my feet are directly underneath the golf club. Behind us here, I've got a couple of alignment aids to help me show you and demonstrate what a correct stance width will look like with an iron or a wedge. Again, guys, I see a lot of players standing extremely wide, and that makes hitting the golf ball particularly difficult. You often see players with wide stances hanging back, trying to basically scoop the ball up in the air, causes a lot of misstrikes. Equally though, I see a lot of players with very narrow stance and their balance is all over the place. The importance of stance width, not only does it aid us in striking the ball better, but it actually aids us in controlling our balance. So you see the guys and girls on TV and they get these beautiful high finishes and they can hold their finish. Guys, a lot of that is to do with having the correct stance width. If these guys had narrow stances or overly wide stances, they, like many other players, will be falling off the ball or falling back, falling forward, all of the above. Okay, so what does a correct stance width look like? I'm going to show you. So here I have my 7 iron. So when I'm hitting my iron shots, the way I like to get myself set is that I set myself down to have my feet shoulders width apart. And again, guys, how do I check that? Well, today I've got a couple of alignment sticks, but you can use these on the driving range in practice to work on making sure you get yourself set. Easy enough to do. Stand still, drop a club on each shoulder, okay, and then I'll place the alignment rods outside and I will work to try to keep inside of this area. So that's when I'm hitting irons and wedges shoulder width apart. What happens when I go into my fairway woods and my driver? Well, then my stance has to be a bit wider. Why? I'm swinging the club that much quicker, the club's that much longer, and it's that much harder to hold my balance that I need to make a stable base. So therefore I make my stance, my feet width wider apart. So what that'll actually look like when I've got my driver is, as my ball position moves forward, I'll actually end up moving my left foot almost just outside of the shoulder width. So as we can see here with the alignment rods, I'll move myself nearly enough an entire foot outside in order to stay better balanced when I'm hitting my driver. So when you guys next head to the driving range or to the golf course and you're out having a practice, just check. It'll take 20 seconds. Get yourself set up in your normal posture, your normal setup. Just place the club on the edge of your shoulder and drop it down. Does the club head drop directly over your feet? If it does, perfect. Stance width is absolutely spot on. If it happens to be that the club is either outside or way inside of your feet and you're using an iron or a wedge, guys, have a look at it, bring it back in, give that a go. I've been using this same method since I started playing golf back in 1999. It's worked for me all over these years. Guys, it's going to work for you. Hi guys, I hope you're enjoying this video series for golf for beginners. Hopefully you're not a beginner golfer. Hopefully some of you guys are now out there playing, you don't class as a beginner anymore, and hopefully some of you guys are actually experienced golfers that just need a little bit of a tune-up and are looking to improve aspects of your game. So today's video is about ball position. Guys, I have 3 simple ball positions that I use for all my clubs. It varies from my sand iron up to my driver. I use 3 key ball positions. I still teach these 3 ball positions to every player that I work with. You know, you don't have to have an individual ball position for every individual club. Yes, the clubs vary. Yes, there's reason that you possibly could do that. But guys, this 3-ball system, this 3 setup system works for me and it will work for you. Okay, so we're going to start off explaining how I set these 3 golf balls up and what clubs I use. So guys, I simply use my left hand, my lead hand, always your lead hand. So if you're left-handed golfer, it'll be your right hand. Use your lead hand to set the club down, and that's going to be our trigger. That is, when we're out on the golf course, we don't have alignment aids and all the other tools to help us. Our lead hand is going to guide us onto where the golf ball should be. Now, how I start, I take my lead hand and I always want the golf ball to be dead in line with the lead hand. The lead hand can be fractionally in front or in line with. Okay, so I take my lead hand, I use it lined up with the center of my body or my belt buckle. Okay, that's ball position number 1. That's going to be for clubs, my lob wedge up to my 8 iron. Okay, I'm going to have my lead hand here set in line with my belt buckle, and the ball is going to be in line with my lead hand. I do have some golf balls. I'm going to show you guys shortly what that looks like. Second ball position, lead hand again. It's going to be set on the inside of my left thigh. So as I drop the club down here, drop my hand inside of my left thigh. Guys, that's ball position number 2. That's my 7 iron, my 6 iron, my 5 iron, my 4 iron. Okay, really simple, easy to use. Position number 3. Now this is my hybrid, my 3-wood and my driver. My lead hand again is now on the middle of my left thigh. So I have 3 simple positions, and that covers my entire bag. So when I'm out on the golf course, I don't have to overanalyze or overthink about where the golf ball should be. I know that with my set clubs, I have a set ball position, and the results speak for themselves, guys. So how does that look with a golf ball? I'm gonna go ahead and show you. So I've got my orange alignment stick here, which will be my center ball position. This is where I'd use my lob wedge up to my 8 iron. So I'll take myself at address. As you can see, the orange alignment 8 is in line with my belt buckle. I take my lead hand. I now look down, my lead hand is over the orange alignment stick, so I know that the golf ball is in the right spot. I know that I'm set up with my club in the correct spot. Again, guys, this is my sand iron through to 8 iron. This is allowing me to get a nice downward strike on each of those clubs to create some good loft and get some good spin on the golf ball when they hit the green. Ball position number 2, as you spoke about, is the lead hand on the inside of the left thigh, between the belt buckle and the left thigh itself. So again, taking my position where the alignment stick is in line with my belt, my lead hand is now on the inside of my left thigh. So here we have 7 iron, 6 iron, 5 iron, 4 iron. As you can see at my setup here, I'm into a pretty good spot, a pretty good setup. My lead hand is in line with the golf ball. And again, I'm going to have the ability to strike downwards a little bit on these golf balls, but it's going to be a little bit more neutral. So my angle of attack is going to be a little bit shallower, a little bit more neutral. So I'm going to be able to control the clubs a bit better and just reduce that spin a little bit with the longer clubs. Okay, so ball position number 3. This is what I'd use for my hybrid, my 3-wood and my driver. I'm going to demonstrate it with the iron to show you, but again, I'm going to take my setup. My alignment stick is in line with the middle of my belt buckle. I'm in a good spot there. I have my stance width that we spoke about in the prior video. Okay, great. My left foot's in the right spot. My club drops down inside the left heel. So when I take my setup with my driver, my left hand, or my lead hand is on my left thigh. The ball's in line with the lead hand here. It's also just on the inside of my left heel. So this is going to allow me to strike more upwards on my longer clubs off of the tee, but still gives me the ability that with a fairway wood I can still get a little bit of downward attack to hit the fairway wood or the hybrid off of the floor and still get some good flight. Guys, 3 ball positions to cover 13 clubs. It's really, really easy. I've been doing this for the best part of 15 years now, and it hasn't failed me and it won't fail you. So again, the keys to remember is lob wedge through to 8 iron, line up with the middle of the torso. 7 iron through to your longest iron. Lead hand is going to be inside of the left thigh, between the center torso and the left thigh. That's ball position number 2. Number 3, for your longer clubs, left thigh is the key. Lead hand in line with your left thigh. That'll get your ball position right. That will help you hit those golf shots a lot better. Today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to set up with your wedges. It does vary ever so slightly from that of an iron and your fairway wood and your driver. So here I'm going to demonstrate with my 50-degree wedge how I set up to the ball, and hopefully you guys will see this, have a go and find that it works just as well for you as it does for me. Now the key difference is with how I set up with my wedge to say how I set up with my driver is the distribution of my body weight. Now, when I'm hitting my wedges, I want to be attacking more downward, so I'll actually feel like I set my weight ever so slightly onto my lead side. So I will set myself down, starting off feeling like I'm kind of 50-50 and neutral. I'm just going to lean ever so slightly into my lead side here. And the reason why that is that I'm going to allow myself to hit down slightly more on the golf ball. It's going to keep my weight almost slightly ahead of the ball, if anything. That aids in the club getting downwards, that basically aids in the ball getting up. So how does that actually look? Well, this is how, guys. So here I am, I'm going to get myself set up with my gap wedge. Have the ball into the middle of the stance here. I set myself up, always with this same routine. Hands out in front, I'm 50-50 set. I push into my lead side to put my weight slightly on my left, so I'm probably 60-40 here. And then throughout the swing, I'm going to try to keep my weight on my lead side. And again, guys, the reason being is I'm trying to hit down on the ball. I asked a question. If you're new to the game, you probably don't know this, but if you've been playing the game for a while, how many of you guys actually set up with your weight on your left side when hitting a full wedge? I know most of you guys will do it when you're chipping, but with your full shots. How many of you guys feel like when you hit your wedges, you're falling back behind the ball? Guys, it could have a lot to do with your weight distribution at your setup. So again, a quick recap. How do I set up to my wedges? Really simply, guys. I get my ball position correct. If you haven't seen the prior video, head back, look at ball position. That will tell you how to set up with your wedges. Once I got my ball position correct, I set myself with a 60% to 40% balance on my lead side, and I try my best to keep it there throughout the swing. That aids in the club going down, and as I've said in other videos, guys, when the club goes down, the ball goes up. That's going to help you create some spin, going to give you better control over your wedges and improve your strike almost indefinitely. I'm going to be talking to you about how to set up with your irons. We've covered how to set up with the wedges in prior videos, and there's a video coming out about how to set up your driver. The irons is a little bit of a difference from the wedges, and again a little bit different from how you set up to your driver. So with our irons, what we're trying to do when we get ourselves set up is to start with regarding pressure and balance, or our weight distribution. I want to remain 50-50. So if I was thinking, you know, the way I set myself up, if I lean one side, my pressure shifts one side, if I lean the other, it shifts the other. We want to be set with our balance or our pressure set into the ground in a 50-50 capacity. So what that's going to allow me to do is to remain nice and neutral, and then when I make my backswing, it allows my pressure to shift correctly onto my trail side from my lead side. So how does that look? You'd have seen it on television quite often, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how that pressure looks, and then we're going to delve into things like actually how we stand to the golf ball with our irons, looking at things like our knee flex and so forth. So when we get ourselves set, obviously with our irons, we spoke about the ball position in a prior video. If you haven't seen it, head back and look at it. I have my 7 iron, so for this one I'll show you to set up with a 7 iron. So lead hand on the inside of the lead leg there. Like with a lot of the videos I talk about with getting our weight distribution correct, I like to get the club out in front of me because this gives me a sense of my actual balance from here. So I can feel that I've got my weight shift 50-50, pressure's pushing down, I'm not shifting too much to the one side, not to the other. I take my grip, push the pressure down nice and evenly, and then I lower my golf club. So as you guys can see there, I look like I'm nice and balanced. I often see players get themselves set with their irons and they lean a lot this way, or other guys, you see them, they lean heavily into the lead side. Guys, that's just going to cause problems down the line, and if we get the start of the swing wrong, we have to make compensations throughout. So if our setup's wrong, we can guarantee that our takeaway is going to be poor. That's going to have a knock-on effect throughout the swing. So let's get the iron setup correct. Okay, so more than just getting our weight distribution or our pressure in the correct spot, we need to also consider things like our knee flex. So quite often, it's very, very common in the beginning, you see players with their irons, you see lots of this. So a lot of knee flex, almost over-exaggerated knee flex. Guys, we don't want too much knee flex. You know, equally we don't want too little. I don't want to see players stand there bolt upright without the knee flex. We need to have a small amount of knee flex. If you would have heard the old adage that you used to sit down on a bar stool, it's probably not quite correct. We don't want to create that much knee flex. What we're trying to do essentially is you can start off with your legs quite straight to begin with, and we're just going to very lightly drop the knee so that when I look down, I look at my knees here and they are ever so slightly over the tongue of my shoe. So if I just pull my trouser up for a second there, I've got dead straight knees. I bend my knees enough. Okay, so now when I look down from a standing upright position, my knee flex is pushed just over so I cannot see the tongue of my shoe. That's pretty much the easiest way to check your knee flex when you're out on the driving range or on the golf course. You're just going to look down. As long as you can't see the tongue of your shoe over your knee flex, perfect, that's the correct amount. So from here, once we've got ourselves set with the correct amount of knee flex, we take our club out in front of us. Really simply, guys, I'm just going to lower the club down. So what we're looking at here is a little bit of posture check the next video out. It will be on posture. It's very, very crucial to have correct posture. But as a very basic with your iron setup, get the club out. Once you've got your knee flex sorted, club out in front of you, lower it to the ground. Guys, set up to your irons is that simple. Ensure you have a 50-50 weight distribution or pressure distribution on lead and trail leg. You're going to make sure that when you sit yourself down, you have a small amount of knee flex just over the tongue of your golf shoes you're wearing now. And ensure that we start the club out in front of us, we just lower it down. That's going to put you into a pretty good setup with your irons to start hitting some good shots. And again guys, we get the fundamentals correct, we build good foundations, we give ourselves the best opportunity to hit good shots. Today, we get on to the fun stuff. We get on to the big dog, the driver. I know many of you guys, if you're new to the game, you've probably at least once been to the driving range, grabbed a driver of some description and just wowed away at golf balls. Guys, it's fun. We all know it. Even as pros, we love to hit our driver. But today I'm going to talk to you about getting your weight distribution and your setup correct with the driver in order to hit better golf shots and to enjoy the game even more. There's nothing better than crushing a good drive that goes exactly where you was aiming and outdrives your mates. We all love outdriving our mates. Okay, so in the last video we spoke about wedges and irons and how we set the weight distribution up. With the driver, it's a little bit different. So with the driver, we want to be hitting up on it. So in order to be able to hit the up on the golf ball, we want to ensure that at setup, when we get ourselves into our address position, that our weight is favouring our trail side slightly more. Now that will happen ever so slightly when we take our grip. We're going to drop the right shoulder or trail shoulder a little bit, and we're going to be able to push a little bit of weight into the trail side. How I would do that, guys, I would go as much as, for a beginner golfer, a 70% to 30% split. So if I set myself up neutral and have 50-50, I'm going to lean myself and push my weight downwards. I'm going to probably make that more this way. I'm going to have 70% of my weight feeling like it's on my trail side, 30% on my lead side. What that's going to allow me to do is get myself stuck in there nicely behind the golf ball and allow me to stay behind the golf ball through to impact to help launch the ball up in the air. Hitting good drives, guys, is actually really simple. It scares a lot of people hitting driver, and we obviously see the ball go more wayward because it does have the least amount of loft, so the ball does tend to get a little bit more offline than, say, with our wedges. It's also the most fun to hit. So while it's not only easy, it's also fun. Guys, I've got a golf ball set up back here. I'm going to show you what this weight distribution should look like. Check out yourselves and see if you've got your weight distribution that same way. That could be the reason if you're a golfer who's been playing for a while and just happens to be coming across these videos. That could be why you're not hitting the golf ball as well as you perhaps should do. It could be as simple as you've got your weight distribution all wrong. So, again, I'm going to take my driver. I'm going to get myself set up. So the orange alignment stick here represents the middle of the body. Guys, if you haven't, check out the other videos. We talk about ball position and stance width and so forth. So I've got myself into a good stance width. I take my grip. I get into my setup. I set myself up to begin with 50-50. Now this is crucial, guys. I love to see players when they're out on the golf course, get the club out in front of you. Set yourself up so I can feel a 50-50 weight split here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drop myself on my right side. I'm going to push my weight into my right side. So now I feel like I'm 70-30. So now when I get set up to the golf ball, my weight's on my trail side. This is going to allow me that when I get to the top of the backswing, I've shifted my weight into the correct direction. I now have more of my weight behind the golf ball, which is going to allow me to feel like I'm going to stay behind the golf ball on the way down, and that's going to allow me to launch the ball up into the air. Again, guys, today's video is simply about your weight distribution. We're going to get into how to hit your driver better, how to hit up on the golf ball, all those kinds of things. But part one of hitting up on the golf ball, in fact, will be this very video, is getting yourself set with your weight into the correct position at setup with a driver. So again, the keys to remember, guys, stance width we get correct, get the club head out in front of you, hold the club up, 50-50 to start with, nice, I'm set at 50-50, I'm going to drop my weight, push into my trail side, so now I feel like I'm 70-30, I'm going to lower my golf club. Guys, I now know that I'm in the correct position, I can swing harder at it with a little bit more confidence that I'm going to hit a good tee shot. If you haven't tried this in the past, guys, get out and try it. If you're new to the game, this is going to start you on the right foot for hitting good drivers. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Again, every other video I've said the same, and I'm going to say it today. Please like, comment and share. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear if you're playing great. I want to hear if these tips are helping you. Share it with your friends. That doesn't matter if they're brand new to the game or if they've been playing for 30 years. We can all learn some information from the videos that I'm putting up. And this is, guys, this is how I began the game. This is how I started. These are my tips that helped me start off from playing in 1999, having never played golf before, and getting down to a scratch handicap within 2 years. These are my tips, they help me, and they will help you. In today's video, we're going to be talking about posture. And in order to help me demonstrate posture and talk to you a little bit about it, I've actually bought a product in here called Gravity Fit by We Are Gravity Fit. Now I will say, guys, they are not a sponsor of mine. I get no financial gain out of this. I just really rate the product. I only wish it was around when I was learning to play and when I was a junior, because this really has helped me personally with my posture. And every player that I've spent time working with and I've used this product with has benefited from it. So check it out, We Are Gravity Fit. Again, guys, I get nothing out of this from the guys at We Are Gravity Fit. I just like the product. So how do we look at our posture? So one of the things you might see when you go to the driving range, and I often see it and coaches comment on it quite a lot, is the modern world with technology, working at computers, always on our phones. We see a lot of players with a very hunched back. It's becoming more common, you know, you're sitting at your computer and you're working, or you're sitting driving, and we just have a lot of players with very hunched backs taking up the game of golf. Now, the problem you get when you get a hunched position with your upper back here is more often than not, as the club takes away, and you can see straight away there, we get very armsy on the take home. When we get armsy, the club tends to work very much on the inside. Not always, there are some players that will get armsy and the club works outside, but they are very few and far between. More often than not, and you might see it in yourself, you might even see it in playing partners, the hunchback, the arm goes inside, and then way over the top for big slices. Yes, your posture can be causing your slice. Yes, your posture can be causing you to hit poor golf shots. It isn't one of those things that we can just look at and go, well, it doesn't matter, players got poor posture. Posture matters, guys. So, the Gravity Fit product, how does that help? Guys, it's got a 3-paddle system here. You've got 2 paddles on the outer, 1 on the middle. It often comes with a ball in the middle and 2 smaller rubber knobbins on the end. These are to create like a sensory feedback, but when I'm using it, especially when I'm practicing and hitting golf balls, I actually take those rubber parts out because I want to feel the paddle directly push on my back. So I'm going to take the product here, I'm going to roll my arms quickly through the yellow tubing. We're going to set the paddles up so they sit, the big paddle sits in the middle of the back. The 2 smaller paddles here, you'll see, are going to sit on my shoulder blades and my scapula. What that's going to enable me to do is create a feel or feedback when I take the tubing here, and I'm going to push the tubing away. As I push the tubing away from my body, it pulls the pads into my back. However, if I stay hunched over and pull, you can see on the video here that we've actually got some gap. What we want to do is we want to avoid the gap. So, get ourselves set, stand up nice and tall. I'm going to pull my shoulder blades back as it looks like on the video, so pull the scaps back and push the tubing out in front of me. As I do that and I pull my shoulders back, I can now feel that the paddles are engaged with my back. So from here, I can sit myself down, still keeping the paddle engaged, and begin to make a turn. Again, really trying to keep the paddle engaged with the back so it stays connected. Now if I do that with a golf club, straight away the club's into a great position. As easy as creating good posture, I can get the club into a good position. So, how does that relate to when you're out practicing? If you don't have the Gravity Fit, I would suggest that when you're out practicing, what we're going to try to get players to do, and again it goes back to many of my other videos, when you get yourself set, get the arms out in front of you, and pull your shoulders back more. So even without the paddles being there, I can still feel that if I pull my shoulders back, I get a little bit of bend in the arms. From here, I'm just going to bend over. So even when I don't have the product, if I'm not using the Gravity Fit here, I'm still able to get myself into good posture. However, if you do go ahead and pick yourself up a Gravity Fit product, guys, you can use it when you're practicing, and it's great for hitting golf balls with. Just put your arm, slide her in through the lower tubing, push the black rubber bands up and out of the way, and you can take your grip, and from here I can work on, get my posture set, get myself down, the paddles are engaged, it feels nice, it feels solid here into the back here. The tubing actually helps pull my arms in, so it helps me create a little bit more of a sort of a connected golf swing. And from here I'm able to just simply make my turn. So I'm staying nice and connected, but I know I'm staying in good posture. So guys, posture's that simple. We want to avoid the hunch as best as possible. There are products out there such as the Gravity Fit product which will help you get into good posture. And I cannot overemphasize how important it is to have good posture. Again, it goes back to the fundamentals. Have the key fundamentals correct, good foundations, you're very likely to start off in a good way and therefore produce good movements in the golf swing. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about the backswing. So we've covered posture, we've covered ball position and general setup. Today, we're going to get on to taking the club away and getting to the top of the backswing. So it's a simple movement and we want to keep it simple. Keep the movement as fluid as possible, but as simple as possible. So here are my keys to creating a good backswing. They've helped me, and I say they will help you. So once we get ourselves set up into good posture, good ball position and so forth, what we're going to be looking to do is try to get the takeaway to work as a one-piece movement, you might say. So what we're trying to really do is ensure that our back, our shoulder and our arms are engaged in one movement to take the club away. And the reason being is it keeps it nice and simple and it allows me to create a good shoulder turn to start the backswing. Things to avoid on the start of the backswing is the arms or the hands taking the club away. That can often see players get the club working far too far inside. And again, we've spoken in other videos, when the club gets inside, it's likely to work over the top on the downswing. So our takeaway really wants to be a fluid motion, starting with the upper body, back, arms, shoulders working as one unit. Let's look at the lower body. What's the lower body doing, guys? So one of the things that I work with my players is trying to create a good lower body turn, but not so much that the right knee straightens up. That's my preference. You can straighten your right knee if you want to, that's not a problem. It will get you a nice deep shoulder turn, but in my opinion, guys, when I see players get that right knee straightened, they actually get flatter in the swing as a everyday golfer and then tend to work the club over the top. So in order to control the club better, I prefer to see a player get themselves set, good takeaway, keep a little bit of flex in the right knee, get a good little bit of turn with the hips here, but not so much that the right leg straightens. So we get into the position on the takeaway, quarter of the way back. At this point in time now, guys, I want to create some hinge with the wrist. So what do I mean? Guys, you can see here the club's sitting at horizontal. I want to get this shaft to work vertically. So as we take the club away, get to a good position, good takeaway, arms, shoulders, back working as one. Then we're going to try to get the club shaft here to point vertically to the sky. As you can see, got some hinge in the wrist, and from there, guys, it really is as simple as completing that shoulder turn, or using your back, as it might be better to, I suppose, think of it that way. Continue turning your back. It's going to get you into a nice, good position. That's going to allow you to get a nice deep turn, but a controlled turn. Again, guys, often we see players in this position here, right leg straightens, club's worked around, and that's going to force the club to come over the top. It's very difficult from this position here to work the club into a good position on the downswing. So simple keys, guys, to a good takeaway. Work the back, shoulders, arms and hands as one movement. If you have a Gravity Fit product, that's really good for that. Again, guys, they don't pay me for this. It's just a good product and it does help. That will enable you to stay nicely connected and keep this as a one-piece movement. When we get the club to the horizontal line here, we're going to work to try to get a little bit of hinge in the wrist and then just continue the shoulder turn throughout to get to the top of the backswing. So by the time we get to the top of the backswing, we should see that the golf club, if all things are working well, is pointing towards our target, and we haven't got the club pointing down to the ground. The club is not pointing down to the ground. I haven't had an overswing, but I've actually worked my swing to be sitting just short of the horizon. Guys, that's it. They're my keys for the backswing. There's not really a great deal that you have to be doing. If you do it simply and you do it well, you'll create a good backswing, which will put you in the best possible position to start your downswing and therefore hit the golf ball well. Today we are going to be talking about the downswing. If you haven't seen the backswing video, I suggest you go back, have a watch. This video will make a little bit more sense having seen that and understand my preferences for the backswing and therefore what my preferences are for the downswing. So again, like the backswing, the downswing is a simple movement, but lots of players, myself included over the years, have made it extremely complicated, harder than it needs to be, and therefore not hit the ball as good as I possibly could, and certainly many players I know not hit the ball as good as they possibly could as a result. So when we get to the top of the backswing, the downswing should begin with the lead side here, your lead side pelvis, left side hip as it were, is going to shift ever so slightly towards target. Now again, depends on the coach you speak to. Some will want you to spin on the spot, some will want you to shift. Guys, I'm one of the coaches who likes to see a little bit of shift. Only a small amount, enough that I imagine the feeling of getting to the top of the backswing, I shift my hip towards the target, and I imagine there's a brick wall there. So what's going to happen is that this shift pushes some pressure to the left, to my lead side, and then it's going to work up. So imagine there's a brick wall here. As I start my downswing, I shift to the left, the pressure moves. At this point, I'm now going to rotate my lead side out of the way. And now that pressure works up. Really quite simple. If you start the downswing with the lead side shifting ever so slightly towards target, you actually allow your body to start the movement in a efficient manner, but also generally in a pretty good rhythm. If the lower body starts the movement, the upper body is going to start to follow. The problem I see often with players is they get to the top and their downswing starts simply by pulling down on the arms. Well, that throws the sequence of the downswing out of order, and therefore makes you need to create an additional compensation to get the club on the ball in the correct manner and to be able to hit good golf shots. So, top of the backswing, shift to target ever so slightly with the lower body, especially your lead side shifts to target. You begin to turn that lead side out of the way, the arms will begin to naturally fall down. So I'm not going to pull them down, I'm not going to take my hands and rip down on the grip and pull my arms to the ground. When I get to the top, I'm going to shift, turn, then my arms will start to naturally lower. As they begin to naturally lower, I want to get my lead side shoulder to turn out of the way. So from down the line, how that looks, a swing to the top, a shift to my lead side, I turn my lead side. You can see I'm not pulling on the club works down, and now I start to move my lead shoulder out of the way. That allows me to get the club on the ball, and you'll also see that it helps me create a feeling, or in your instance, you'll be watching this, you'll see that the chest looks like it stays more over the golf ball. So you'll see here the chest is pointing down at the golf ball. All that comes from the sequence in which I make the downswing. If I don't create the sequence in the correct order, when I get to the top of the backswing, if I pull my arms down, I'm actually going to have to lift myself up and out of the way. Because I pull my arms down, the club wants to hit the ground earlier, so therefore my body's forced to lift up. Now my chest isn't over the golf ball. I'm likely to be pulling up and away, the club face is pointing open, and the ball's going to carve away to the right. Or, often we'll see players work the club on the downswing over the top. And that works from the lead shoulder moving first. As the lead shoulder moves, the club works over the top. The lower body's still stationary, and at the last moment they're trying to move, but it's too late. By this point, the club's working across the line from an out to in path, and the ball's going to slice away. So, really, really simple. So downswing, guys, how to get it correct. Get to the top. Lower lead side moves to target. Hips begin to open. Arms are naturally lowering. Continue the movement with the upper body on the lead side to turn towards your target. Creates a good angle of the body. My chest is over the golf ball. The club's down naturally. A little bit of bend in the trail elbow, and I'll work through. Real simple, guys. Simple sequence that will help you create a better downswing. If you get to the driving range, you get an opportunity to work on it. Slow the downswing down, slow it from the top, and just work on that sequence, work that movement. Lead side pelvis slides, turns, arms drop naturally, turn the lead side towards target, keep the chest over the golf ball. That is going to help you hit the golf ball better. Be great with your irons, great with the driver. You'll hit better wedges than you ever hit before. I hope you've enjoyed the previous videos. Today we're going to be talking about impact and our finish position. Now, again, if you're new to golf, these are terms you will hear, you may not quite understand what they mean. Impact is the point at which the club connects with the golf ball, and our finish is basically what you see the guys on TV and the girls on TV. It's at the very completion of the golf swing, and what you'll often see they look like. Once they've hit the golf ball, it's the way in which our body faces either the target or towards the general direction that we're hitting it. We call that the finish position. Now, many different ways of finishing the golf swing. Today I'm going to talk about my preferences. Okay, so impact is a fairly organic move in my honest opinion. It really is dictated to by the backswing and the beginning of the downswing, and just prior to impact. At this point in time, once you've gotten to that point, it's very difficult to make an adjustment. You're talking about a split of a second in order to make any changes. So it's fairly organic, and it's kind of based on what's happening prior to it. But, this is the but, how I like to see players at impact, very simply, is I'm looking to see the hands ever so slightly ahead of the golf ball. I'm looking to see a player's body with an iron or a wedge to be kind of over the top of the golf ball. So we're going to be looking like, as we get down into impact, here, so we're going to have the hands pushing ahead of the golf ball, the body over, and our weight will be ever so slightly ahead of the golf ball. That's when we're hitting irons and wedges. And again, guys, this is hard to achieve if the backswing and the downswing are not working functionally for you. So once we get the downswing started, really what I'm trying to get my players to work towards is that their hands are slightly ahead of the golf ball. We get something we call shaft lean. So our shaft lean is towards our intended target, hands ahead of the golf ball, and our body weight slightly ahead on the downswing. That's with irons and wedges. When we get into the driver, it's a little bit different. I like to see my players with their hands really working level with the golf ball, and their body weight feeling, and their chest in particular, right side or your trail side, feeling like it's staying behind the golf ball. And the reason being, guys, with the driver in particular, it's going to aid you in getting the ball up in the air, and that's really what we want to be launching the ball up in the air. So with the driver, we set, and just prior to impact, I want to feel like I'm staying behind the golf ball with my trail side. My hands are level with the golf ball, and that's going to launch the ball up in the air. Guys, impact is very, very organic. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Trying to get a little bit of shaft lean, hands slightly ahead of the ball at impact, which is going to enable you to get the irons and wedges more downwards, improving strike. And with the drive, we want to try and feel our hands are staying level with the golf ball. Okay, so then we get to the finish, and this actually is very, very important, because in my honest opinion, the finish tells the story of what came before it. So what I like to see with my players when they get to their finish is that their chest, their lower body is rotated to face their intended target. So let's say the camera here, that's my intended target. I get myself set, I make my swing, and I want to feel like my chest is pointing at my target, my hips are pointing at my target, my hands are up nice and high, my trail arm has worked across my chest, and I get my hands up level with my head. Now that's my personal preference, guys. It's not to say that it's the only way to do it, or not to say that it's the absolute correct way to do it. That's my preference. That's what you see when I swing a golf club, is that my follow through, my finish position, I try to get nice and high, my hands are level with my head, my chest, my hips are pointing towards my intended target, and I remain balanced. That's probably the one key that all coaches will talk about: get to a balanced finish. A balanced finish means that everything that came before it was at least in a good rhythm, good tempo, and remained relatively well balanced. Your finish, your follow through, will tell a lot about, again, what happened before it. So we can see players often, they fall back. Well, we know that that's due to poor balance. They're not able to maintain a good balance. Likewise, they might fall forward. Guys, that's the direction in which the power, your power, is moving. So if we can get our players to swing up to a nice high finish, chest facing target, hips facing target, hands level with the head, and remaining balanced, we know that what came before it was at least well balanced, good timing, good rhythm. If you can manage that, you're already halfway there to making some good golf swings. Again, guys, this was the final video in my basics for the full swing. There'll be more videos coming out shortly on some short game stuff, some putting, some chipping, and so forth, so keep your eyes out for those. And guys, you know the drill. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel for future videos. I hope you have enjoyed the videos, and I really hope they've helped you guys. Until next time, happy golfing.